Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Connect to Florida. Today, we're going to be talking about a community that has been the most highly requested community in the last 6 months or so that people have asked me to talk about, and that is Babcock Ranch. So if you're unfamiliar with Babcock Ranch, I'll pop a map up right here and kind of show you where it is. So you might be kind of unfamiliar because it is a relatively new community, and it's it's farther than one-off. So I always talk about the benefit of a one-off community. And when I'm saying one-off, what I mean is one off of a bigger city. So one off of Naples would be like Bonita Springs or Estero. One off of Sarasota might be Venice or Welland Park. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying one off. But Babcock Ranch is kind of like farther than that. I would call that distant suburban. So why do I say that? Well, it's kind of off in its own little island. Not an island, but it's off on its own by itself. A lot of people ask about it because recently it's really grown in popularity for several reasons. So we're going to talk about the good things about Babcock Ranch and why it might be a good fit for you. But of course, on this channel, we always balance things out. We talk about the good and the bad. So we're going to talk about the things that I don't like at all about Babcock Ranch. And I do this because I want you to make the best decision for you. So if this is the first time we're meeting here on my channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Barrett, pastor, and I've been a real estate broker for about 26 years. So hopefully I'm coming to you from a place of knowledge and experience, and I can help you navigate this ever-changing landscape in Florida. Also, if you want to do a deep dive into your own personal goals. So I know it's really hard if you don't want to move or you're just kind of thinking about moving 3 years, 5 years from now. You're not ready to go right now at this moment, but you want your information right now. You want to start preparing for it because you do know that you're going to make a move in like 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is. If you want to do a deep dive into your goals and how to kind of strategize to get yourself ready to buy in Florida, I do offer 40-minute consultations. I'll leave a link right here and down in the description box. All right, so let's talk about Babcock Ranch. What makes it different and unique? Well, first of all, it is America's first solar-powered community. You might say, what exactly does that mean? So it has a massive solar field providing clean energy, reducing utility costs, which is important, and promoting sustainability. Now, for some people, the only thing they're going to be interested in on that is going to be reducing the utility costs. So it is different, it is something unique, and it is the only one in America right now of its kind. The second thing that makes them unique, and to me this is probably the most important thing, is that in the planning and development of Babcock Ranch, they made the community hurricane resistant. So does that mean you're not going to get hit by a hurricane ever? No, but it's very hurricane resistant, and every hurricane that we have had, even the biggie, even Hurricane Ian, they didn't have any problems out there. So it has proven itself to be true. So they have underground utilities, which I think is really cool, on a smart grid technology. And they also have flood resistant planning. So the reason that I use the word resistant, hurricane resistant, flood resistant, you hear impact resistant, because nothing is foolproof. Like there's always going to be some kind of risk, really with almost anything, but it does work and it has proven itself out. Also, it's an enormous master plan development. So a lot of people think it's similar to Lakewood Ranch. To me personally, I don't think it's similar at all. It's similar in that it's a master plan development, but it does have this other uniqueness that I just mentioned that's really important to a lot of people. The other thing that's unique about it is that it lends itself to year-round living. So within the community, you have 50 miles of trails. You have lakes for kayaking, lots and lots of green spaces, which just makes things a lot prettier, and that builds in that flood resistant component. If you're an active person, if you want to be riding your bike all the time, discovering new little trails, walking around, meeting people, there's restaurants, there's things to do all the time planned out for the community, and it's a large community and growing. It's a really nice spot where I think there are resort style amenities, but it's less resorty in that you're not going to feel like you just went to Panama City. You're not going to feel like you're somewhere that's overly snowbirdy. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like full-time living. They have schools, they have dining, they have shopping, they have medical, and growing. Remember, it is growing. So even though it's been around for a little while, a few years, it's been around for a little while, but it's still growing. So if you look at it in phases, is it the first phase? No, but you are in that earlier phasing to where theoretically prices could continue to go up. Now, right now, what I would say about real estate pricing is that it's pretty good. It's not bad. You can get decent pricing in Babcock Ranch because it is a little bit farther out. So it's a little bit farther away from the beach. I would say that you're probably from Fort Myers Beach, I'm going to say, as you drive, forget about traffic, but as you drive, you're probably 40 minutes or so. In traffic, you're going to be well over an hour, but that can happen anywhere in Florida, in an area that's close to the beach. So that's a really nice thing. But if you want somewhere that's just a really safe community with lots to do, as resistant to storms, floods, things like that as possible, then it really could be a good choice for you. And then lastly, let's talk about the real estate in Babcock Ranch. So you can get a smaller home, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. They're really nice. Most of them are new construction. There is resale in Babcock Ranch. I would say you're going to open in real estate in the ballpark of the low 300s, and it's going to go up to around $1.5 million, $2 million. Now, on that higher end, you're just going to have a larger lot. You're going to have a better view. You're going to have a bigger home. Some of the builders, there's multiple builders in Babcock Ranch. Some of the builders allow you a little bit of customizing. You can get a larger lanai. You can make your pool bigger. So lots of choices in there, but the bread and butter price point right now anyway in Babcock Ranch is right around that $500,000 mark. That's your bread and butter single family home price point in Babcock Ranch. A lot of the builders are offering big incentives. So if you want to know what's going on and who's offering what, I'm seeing them in my email every single day where they're offering $150,000 off this, a free golf cart with this, a free pool with this. Now you might say $150,000 off, really? Yes, I agree with you. That probably means they were $150,000 overpriced. So I get that. Not lost on me whatsoever. But if you want to know what's going on in your price point, reach out to me. Like I said, you can always get me down in the description box. All right, that said, let's talk about the things that are less good with Babcock Ranch. All right, for me, location. So location can be, that's a double-edged sword. We talked about the good things in regards to the location, but for me personally, it is a little bit far out. It's a ways out there. And what I mean by that is if you get outside of your community, outside of Babcock Ranch, although they do have a lot within the community, but when you get outside of it, you have to drive a ways. And by a ways, I mean at least a half hour-ish to get to other shopping, to get to other stores, to get outside of the community of the little bubble that you're living in. And sometimes people feel like, yeah, I'm comfortable in my bubble, but I never leave here. So to me, if you want to go to the beach a few times a week, you're going to have a little bit of the drive. You may not want to go to the beach at all during season because of the drive. If you want to go to Naples or you want to go to downtown Fort Myers, it's not that far from downtown Fort Myers, but if you want to get outside of just those things that you got used to doing in your community, you're going to have a little bit of a drive to get there. Now, we talked a little bit about the real estate. One of the things that I don't like about the real estate is you are talking about cookie cutter homes. So you have your typical Lennar, Pulte, your typical, what I call average Joe builders in the huge community of Babcock Ranch. There are several builders, some you've heard of, some you may not have heard of, but if you look at the construction, they are building at a rapid pace. And in my opinion, when somebody is building at a rapid pace, some of the quality tends to get a little bit lost and brushed under the rug. I've seen some problems with that. I've seen things in inspection reports that I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. How could they forget to hook up the dishwasher? And had somebody literally turn their dishwasher on and water shoot things get, now that could happen anywhere, but when you're rushing through construction, it tends to be a little bit more likely. There are things that bother me with some of the builders, especially these sort of $500,000 builders, and you might say that's a lot of money. Yes, it is. But things that bother me are like baseboards that are real small, and they just, when you look at them, you think cheap. Okay, can we just agree to that? The other thing that's a pet peeve of mine is level 1 countertops that are this thin. Maybe you never noticed that, but if you've ever dropped a coffee cup on one, they can literally split. So they're thin as can be. If you run your hand along it, you can feel it, like the quality's not there. Maybe somebody didn't have the money to do a backsplash, and so back behind where you would normally see tile, or sometimes now one of the things they're doing is doing glass, which is really pretty because it brings light into the kitchen where you wouldn't otherwise have it. But if you've got drywall there, and then somebody makes bacon and it squirts, a lot of times people will try to get in at the lowest base cost, and there are a couple builders out there that their claim to fame is, but we give you everything. But is it everything that I even want? And then the last thing I would say is, if you're somebody that doesn't like HOAs and rules and regulations and how many pets can I have and what kind of pets can I have and can I put a garden in and can I put a shed up, all those things, you're going to have the rules and regs because it is an HOA. And some people do tend to feel a little bit restricted in that. If you're going into Babcock Ranch, you know that it's an HOA. But sometimes people feel like, if I'm going to be out that far and I'm going to have this kind of limited commercial development around me and I'm in a rural area, then I want to be able to do whatever I can do. Well, you're not going to be able to do that in an HOA at all. So I guess in summary, the question is, will it work for you or will it not? There are a lot of good things about it. To me, the main thing you should ask yourself is, am I okay with being sort of way out? It's technically Punta Gorda. So am I okay with being a little bit out in the middle of nowhere, waiting for it to not be in the middle of nowhere? Or is that something I actually really want?